Whatever. There, it's live. I don't even want to introduce you guys.
Oh God, we brought out Popeye's story. Oh no.
Mark, no.
Yes,
Here we go. Be quiet.
yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Source Material. This evening, we have the fullest panel so far. I think we may even be getting one more guest, which should make it the record-breaking Source Material guest podcast. Yeah, something like that. It's going to be epic. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are discussing IDW's. Man, what do you want to call this? Like
Hasbro
universe.
From what I read on Wikipedia, it's known as the Hasbro universe. Yes.
Is it really? Okay.
Yep.
I'm glad somebody did their research because all I did was make notes and try to make sense of this stuff. So
number 2 had a number 2 on it.
Oh, goodness. Well, okay. So IDW's Revolution came out in 2016. So that was last year, where here was IDW's concept. We have G.I. Joe, which they've been, and you guys step in here at any time. I'm going to introduce you guys formally at some point, but if I say anything wrong or if I say something that you feel needs an addendum on, please hop in.
Oh, we're on you.
All right, sir.
Like a cheap suit starter.
IDW had been publishing G.I. Joe issues for quite a while. Same thing with Transformers.
I have a question.
Okay.
No, seriously, I told you I was going to behave myself tonight. I have a serious question.
I believe you.
It's not how do I get out of this chicken shit outfit, I promise you. My question is, when did they become IDW properties and not Marvel properties? Because when I was reading comics, back when they were printed on stone tablets,
yeah,
they were Transformers and G.I. Joe and Transformers Meet G.I. Joe were all, and Rom the Space Knight, now that I think about it.
And Micronauts.
Oh, okay. We're all Marvel properties. So
Mm-hmm.
when did Marvel lose these properties to IDW? Or is IDW like an imprint of Marvel?
No. IDW is their own thing. Marvel lost the imprints for those properties long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So IDW swooped in. I know that they've had G.I. Joe for at least a minute. I know it's been a while because they, if I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they picked up, which was really interesting. Think about this, Mark. They picked up where, or at least they're planning to pick up where G.I. Joe left off in the continuity of Marvel. Am I right there? Anybody know for sure? Okay, we'll have to go to the internet to confirm that. But that's all right.
Like, conceivably, did you just make that point up? And
No, I've heard it somewhere. I can't remember. I know for a fact that that's either planned or that's already happened. Where the Marvel continuity ended, they wanted to pick up and proceed to just basically go from where it ended there and continue. But okay, regardless,
I was going to say, IDW actually has their G.I. Joe Transformer also.
Okay. All right. So what you're saying to me is that they have their own continuity for G.I. Joe?
I'm thinking it is. I mean, why would they have G.I. Joe Transformer in Marvel and then G.I. Joe Transformer again in IDW?
I don't know.
Yeah,
But,
G.I. Joe versus Transformers in IDW is a completely separate thing. It's a very bizarre and off the wall look.
Yeah.
Well, I guess short answer to that, Mark, is that it's been a while. They've had at least both Transformers and G.I. Joe for a good bit. Now, as for when these other characters that are popping up amongst this story, which is Rom Space Knight, according to the back of the book, which I don't know if you guys had this in your book or not, but they would have like the first appearances of these characters along with their bios there. And I don't think Action Man, Rom, Space Knight, or the Micronauts had appeared in the IDW universe up until here, or Mask.
Does
make sure.
anyone know why Rom, of all the Marvel titles, was one of the ones that IDW ended up with? I mean, go ahead.
Marvel forgot they had him. And then
Seriously?
No, I'm kidding.
Oh.
Because nobody knows who Rom is, but from what I can...
I thought you were like legitimately saying, "Oh, we forgot this property.
Like
We're
there's
just
a
gonna
guy
pick
in
it up."
charge of intellectual property. He's just like, "Oh, what am I forgetting? The Fantastic Four? No one gives a fuck about them." I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
Rob the Space Knight! God damn it!" And IDW just made off with them in the middle of the night.
Exactly.
It's something to do with the fact that Hasbro, I think, owns these characters and not Marvel. So when you base a comic book, yeah, it's something to do with that. If I remember correctly, it's all about who owns the rights to the toys, not the
I'm not surprised about G.I. Joe and G.I. Joe and Transformers, which started out as toys, and then all of this other literature that came out of wanting to sell toys. That I can understand. But Rom the Space Knight, that's not a Marvel property proper?
No, it started out as a toy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did it really? Oh, I'm learning something here on the Source Material podcast.
And I was gonna say the last time he was actually used by Marvel was around the Secret Wars 2.
He was actually being used.
No, they drew him flying by.
He's just like, "Hey, what's up?
What's up?" They're like, "Nobody likes you,
too.
Rom."
I'm Rom the Space Knight. I exist.
I'm here too. No, you're not. You're wrong.
No, and they also have used Bug from the Micronauts here recently in Guardians of the Galaxy books, actually.
Is that like one they don't own or something?"
I mean,
well, to the internets. Anyway, all right.
To the wiki.
So we get to talk about this tremendous crossover that's happening between all these toy properties. And, before we go any further, let's go ahead and put the names to the voices here, or put the names to the sarcasm. First off, let's go ahead and introduce the sadistic patriarch himself, who once again, like I said earlier,
I'm not
made
I'm not answering to sadist. I did not cause pain, and I did not purposely try to.
Were you here last night? Were you on the same podcast I was?
Look at this graph.
I remember there being a lot of laughter.
Okay. I do agree. His name's Mark Radulich. He is the patriarch. Sir, are you ready to talk some comic book toy properties tonight?
Sure. If someone is willing to help me untangle this mess they call revolution, I'd love to hear it.
Oh boy, the challenge has been the gauntlet has been laid down. And challenge accepted. I'm certainly not going to answer the call for that one either, because that's not happening. And the Invisible One, Justin Thomas, the man I know I'm going to be relying on for some toy knowledge. At least his Facebook posts. If you catch Justin Thomas on a good day when he's got his phone or he's by his computer, you will see a litany of fun stuff in regards to 80s toys. And so, Justin Thomas, are you ready to discuss IDW's revolution tonight?
Bring it on.
Bring it on, he says. All right.
Bring it on.
The tree speaker himself.
I don't talk to trees.
He speaks for the trees. He's connected to the green.
Yeah.
There we go. Ronnie Adams, sir, are you ready to start this podcast off?
I'm about as ready as I ever am on this show.
All right. Are you playing any video games right now?
What?
Yeah.
Who do you think I am?
Listen for the clicks, people.
What kind of amateur do you take me for that would play video games while podcasting? I am insulted. I quit.
I wish you had said clown just so I could do the line from Police Academy. What kind of clown do you take me for? I don't know. A juggling clown?
All right.
What?
I do know. Let me move on. Please, let me move on to the last introduction. Just let me do it.
This intro is taking an hour. It's already...
Mark Radulich is going to fall asleep on this podcast, all right? I mean, it was already written out that was going to happen at some point, but it might be quicker than we actually anticipated.
It's been a while, so...
Listen, man, you need to get on with this. I got chemo in the morning, okay?
All right. So... One more. I do know one person that would probably want to play some video games, but he's a bit better than that. He brings us Marvel Mornings on Twitch. # Marvel Mornings. Did I get that right, Cole Marentat?
You did get that right.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. A bit better than that.
Hey, I got to slide the jabs in, Ronnie Adams.
I'm going to throw something in there real fast. I looked it up. It is a complete reboot of the property.
Oh, really?
G.I. Joe, yeah.
Okay, so they're not continuing the continuity. Okay, this again, I apologize for my confusion. Thank you very much, Justin Thomas, for looking that up. I appreciate it. And Ronnie Adams, buddy, I give you a hard time. I could care less if you're swinging through the sales of Assassin's Creed Black Flag or you're shooting somebody on Fallout 4. As long as you're here, I'm very happy that you are with us, sir. Thank you very much.
It just made me feel all sad.
Oh.
Stop hurting the Lorax's feelings. Let's go.
All right.
You're a Lorax.
Here we go. We got 5 issues to cover. What I'm going to do is this. All right. Now, I gave each of you guys, a talking point, jumping on point, whatever. I'm going to do 2 issues at once. Okay. So we're not going to break it down issue by issue like I thought we was going to do. I'm going to do 2 issues at once. And then whoever's got issue 1, which will be me, I'm going to bring up a talking point. And anybody else who wants to talk about something that they wish to discuss in this first issue, please, by all means, feel free. And then issue 2, I think I gave that to, who was that? It's the one that had number 2 on Mark Radulich. Mark Radulich will chime in shortly thereafter. So that's how we'll do it. And then issue 5, of course, we have to leave that one by itself because I don't know, that's why I brought you guys on here so you could help me make sense of this epic ending that we have. Yeah, precisely. I think that might have been on the back of the book when you pick it up.
And technically, this book doesn't end. Actually, it continues on with another series.
All right, that was Revolutionaries, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
that's what I thought. Okay, all right. So let's get this shindig started. All right. So, issue 1 and 2. Mount Olympus just exploded. Okay, it exploded. And what caused it was some pink crystals called Ore 13.
Energon.
Ore 13 that were until now fairly stable. Who is the person that brings us this news? None other than Ian Noble, or as many others may know him as Action Man. Now, prior to the explosion, as Action Man was investigating a cave on a Mount Olympus, he found the dying body of Big Ben, an ex-G.I. Joe member who gives Ian some dog tags that were issued by a once-thought disbanded covert special missions group of the military, G.I. Joe. Now, G.I. Joe links the explosions of the ore to Earth's most recent mistrusted alien inhabitants, Optimus Prime and the Transformers. There's no love lost here, folks, between G.I. Joe and the Transformers. Now, if either of you want to chime in and kind of give us an idea, just give us a few. Let us know why there's some problems between these two. I'd appreciate that. But let me go ahead and finish this synopsis real quick. Now, it is made clear that Optimus Prime's intentions are good-natured. Okay, remember that, folks. Optimus Prime's a pretty good dude, and he's fairly pacifistic. Now, as Autobots RC and Jazz are helping out flood relief in Oregon, I mean, it's pouring down rain, cats and dogs there, and these Autobots are nice enough to help build, put some sandbags in place, try and get this flooding stopped. On the orders of the original G.I. Joe himself, Joe Colton, G.I. Joe attacks those Transformers. Now, Prime and some other Autobots show up to attempt to discuss what's going on with G.I. Joe attacking them. They pop up, they're like, wait, what in the hell are you guys doing? Why are you guys attacking us? Now, during this battle, G.I. Joe's not having it. So I know bullets before there's going to be a few bullets shot before discussions happening here. But during the fray, out of the sky comes Rom Space Knight, who shows up and without a word, Ronnie, I think I sent you the explicit quote, which was, "Oh shit." He shows up and he just melts Joe Colton right there in front of everybody, along with Red Zone. high-tech
initial
wreckage. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But
No, you're
my
right.
initial thought when I saw it was ROM Space Knight was, well, that's disappointing.
Oh,
man.
I'm sorry, I'm not a ROM fan.
Well,
I had one comic book when I was a kid.
I'll say what's funny is he did the exact same thing when he first appeared in his comic.
Oh, he just showed up and started killing people?
He just showed up and got all murdery.
Exactly,
right?
and everybody thought that he was taking out human beings.
Are you talking about like a new like IDW ROM or like old Marvel ROM?
Old Marvel ROM.
So I have a follow-up question now. Has Rom the Space Knight always been a fucking asshole?
I mean, it's not an unfair question.
I mean, well, look. As we progress in the story, Rom Space Knight has a good eye. You know,
Wait a minute. I want an answer.
He knows what he's doing.
That was a legitimate question. I want to know.
I will tell you, Mark, that I have no answer to your question because I had one ROM book and I hated it.
I think Justin, chime in here. I mean, you probably read more than me, I would assume. This guy's got good intentions, right? At least he had him in the Marvel universe. He was a good dude.
Yeah, at first people thought he was bad because they couldn't see what he saw.
Exactly.
He could see I don't want to reveal it yet, but he could see them and nobody else could.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually it got to the point where he was crossing over with Forge even. He was having troubles with these same things.
Okay.
But I guess my question stems from the fact that he just kind of shows up and starts murdering people and doesn't explain himself or anything else, and that hence why is he always such an asshole? I mean, is that like an ongoing thing with him where he just doesn't bother explaining what it is he's doing?
he's just an alien, and he doesn't have any concept of human emotions and stuff. Basically,
does he understand that the other people can't see him?
No,
obviously okay. Obviously, he's got to understand they're shape changers. So, if anybody out there is familiar with the ROM property, they probably know exactly who we're talking about. So we'll get to that here in a second. So
he just doesn't think he needs to explain himself. He's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm on a mission from God, and I don't owe you an explanation. Right? Yeah, got it.
Here's my other reaction when he melted Colton. Holy crap! He just melted a G.I. Joe.
That's true. Now see,
so it got a little better.
Yeah, okay. And it was freaking the original Joe Colton.
Yeah, he didn't just melt G.I. Joe. He melted the G.I. Joe.
The G.I. Joe.
Yeah, the definite article.
Does anyone know why they opted for G.I. Joe Colton and not Duke, who traditionally led the G.I. Joes?
I'm going to go with the movie, maybe, because that's probably the freshest in their mind. As for a legitimate reason, like if I seen anything online, no, I do not know. I would figure they're just
wasn't even in the movie, was she?
No, he's talking about Joe. Why would they?
It's to tie it into the group before the G.I. Joes.
Oh, that's right, because we get that explanation about how Joe was involved with Mask and and how they came up. That's right, because that happens, I think, in issue 0. I believe when Miles Mayhem's in there. We're jumping all around. Here we go. Let me get back on track. So G.I. Joes are dead at the hands of Rom. Space Knight. That's right. He done showed up and messed your world up. He ain't such a weakling after all. Comes in here and makes a huge impact.
Say it again and make me giggle.
Now, Scarlett, as she's watching this go down, she believes Rom is an Autobot. I mean, if you've ever seen Rom, or if you've never seen Rom, he is completely metal. And according to his, if I remember correctly, according to his battle sheet or whatever it was in there, I think he's like 9 feet tall. So he's pretty tall. I mean, he's not human size. Although he looks it, he's a lot taller than you or me. But he's not as tall as an Autobot. But whatever, we know those vary in size, especially when you hit the microverse, right, Cole?
Oh, yeah.
Scarlett believes that Rom's an Autobot, while the Autobots do not recognize him at all. They're like, well, who the hell's this guy? Now, Rom, like I said, Okay, takes out like 5 guys, 5 GI Joes, then just
How'd
turns
that go
around and
again?
leaves.
Was that a teraflop, Jesse?
It might have been. So Rom just takes off. He leaves the scene, and Optimus Prime and the Autobots are hot on his trail. As issue, I think this is it's the beginning of issue 2, I believe, where Rom and Optimus are fighting. Maybe it's the issue 1. I don't know. Regardless, and Optimus Prime and Rom start rumbling, and Optimus gets laid out by a shoulder block, which is just amazing to me, by Rom. So Rom's he's not no light hitter either. If you can take down an Autobot.
He takes fighting lessons from the Ultimate Warrior.
Yes, indeed. Now, issue 2, Scarlet seeks out a discussion with another official at G.I. Joe headquarters. This person is none other than Miles Mannheim, a.k.a. Miles Mayhem, the director of the Mobile Armored Strike Command, or MASK, if you were a kid of the 80s and you had some of those toys. We find out that he is actually using Cybertronian technology to put together a set of vehicles/weapons that can be used against the Cybertronians, all of which will be helmed by a special task force of operatives whose members are Julio Lopez, Vanessa Warfield, Sly Rax, Bruno Shepard, Gloria Baker, Matt Tracker. All make up the members of MASK. Now, I'll give you here's their code names: Gulliver, Ice Queen, Stiletto, Thunderflame, Aura, and Spectrum. All right, there you go. That's the members of MASK. Now, using their special vehicles, they were able to capture an Autobot by the name of Cup, who had just learned that the cause of the OR-13 explosion was due to some type of Cybertronian teleporting device. All right, so Cup, OR-13's exploding mountains here, and Cup finds out, okay, maybe we are at fault. As soon as the humans figure out that the Cybertronians are they're immediately going to associate it with the Transformers.
And they were using Blitzwing to get their technology.
That's right. Blitzwing, who, by the way, his battle sheet says his occupation is spare parts. I kid you not. So
that's so wrong.
Now, who's behind the teleportation? None other than an ominous black figure by the name of Baron Karza, the evil despot behind the Micronauts, or excuse me, that go against the Micronauts. Now, he says OR-13 is desperately needed in order to save microspace, or the microverse. So apparently his motivations of bringing this in is to try and save the universe that he lives in. And that's kind of where we leave issue 2. Mark, are you still awake?
I am.
All right, good. Here goes my talking point for issue 1. All right. Now, this is probably my biggest criticism of this book. And that's because when I grew up, I grew up on the Joes. I understand this is a reboot, when they rebooted the property. But I hated how the Joes just decided, well, there's 2 Autobots helping out with flood relief while civilians are there thanking them, and they decide to attack them right out in the middle of the open. This is not the G.I. Joe that I remember.
I had a feeling you were going to bring that up. I would have shortened it to, why are the Joes acting like assholes? Everyone in this book is an asshole. Have you noticed that? And it's not that I just want to drop curse words and be that guy on this podcast, but not to cut off Jesse or anything, but nobody thinks in this entire book. Everyone, everyone except for the guys in the microverse. No.
Optimus is the one shining gem, I think, out of this whole book that actually uses some rationale.
Yeah, it's him and the guys in the mic in the.
Well, they don't know what the hell they're doing. They have no idea. I mean,
at least the Micronauts aren't like running the room, shooting everybody, and going "fuck your couch," okay? Which seems to be everybody else's MO in this. You have Scarlet, who was never portrayed this way in the cartoon, who's just like a racist asshole. Like, all robots need to die. It's like, wait a minute, including the ones helping the humans. Yes, fuck the couch, okay? You've got Rom the Space Knight, who just kicks open the door and starts killing people. It's like, like, doesn't anyone stop and say, here's my mission, this is what's going on, or listen to anybody else? It's just like, nope. you know, we our modus operandi is kill first, ask questions later.
I think the GI Joes basically have history with back when they were fighting Megatron. Is why they have so much hatred for Cybertronians.
Cole, you mentioned that to me as well when we were talking online. Can you kind of give us an idea of what you've read and how that came about?
Yeah, the basic premise behind the distrust of all Cybertronians is that Earth has been betrayed and almost destroyed twice. First time in a big event called All Hail Megatron, where Megatron and the Decepticons basically said, "Okay, the subtle approach is not working. Let's just blow everything up." Nearly destroyed the planet, killed millions of people.
I think they said they quoted 1 billion in this book.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
So did this come from an unused Michael Bay script?
Pretty much.
Okay.
It was a big turning point in the comics. Up until that point, they were really going with the robots in disguise angle, where everyone was hiding out. No one wanted to know, or no one wanted them to know there were Transformers. And then Megatron basically said, "Fuck it." And then later on down the timeline, the Earth Defense Command decided to team up with the Decepticons because that's a great idea.
And
Galvatron,
why did they do this? What made them decide to side with the bad guys?
Because they were offering Cybertronian technology. And as far as Earth was concerned, after the events of All Hail Megatron, all Transformers were evil.
Oh.
And that kind of brings us to the modern day. There is no discerning between the factions as far as Earth is concerned. All Cybertronians are evil.
Yeah, no, there's no good Cybertronians like a dead Cybertronian.
Yes.
Okay, that at least gives some context. And
You just don't attack them in the middle of like freaking flood relief, though.
Oh, I know.
I didn't. Tell me that didn't sit well with you, Cole. I mean, I know you're not the biggest GI Joe reader, but I assume, have you ever watched a cartoon?
Oh yeah, 1,000 years ago, but yeah.
Okay, so I mean that wasn't the way. I'm gonna say that all night because most of these properties that we're talking about are pretty beloved, except for Rom. We'll all agree on that apparently. But you know, when you see GI Joe, when you see GI Joe, you're thinking, okay, these guys they're fighting for truth and justice and the American way, whatever. You don't see them.
Superman.
I'm with Jesse here. I mean, maybe I'm old-fashioned, but I'm certainly old. But I don't understand the concept of writing a story in which there's no one to cheer for. Everyone is behaving so badly that there are no heroes. This sounds like a George Lucas script. There are heroes on both sides. What?
No, they didn't punch any women in the mouth yet, so.
Well, they're getting there. I'm willing to debate this point if you feel differently, but it just feels like they wrote everybody with such an intensity, I guess, and such a and with such negative characteristics that I found myself not rooting for anyone, which is a weird concept for me in a comic book.
Not to spoil the future issues, but the only person who's not an asshole is Action Man, and that's because he doesn't do anything.
Yeah, this is there for like 4 panels.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
What? How ironic that Action Man is the one that does the least in the whole book, but his name is Action Man. He just shows up and
Action Man.
He's British for a little bit, and then he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go over and sit in the corner. Bye. I'm still here. Yep. Yeah, you are Action Man."
He had and I don't know if you guys had this. I assume this was with every issue, but there was a little part in the back of issue 1 where I think he's talking to Beachhead, but it's just all script.
Yeah.
It's just like a oh crap, what do they call those? There's the script of a telephone.
Dialogue.
Thank you. Yeah, the telephone conversation or something of
That's a
conversation.
transcript, yeah.
Transcript. Yeah, there you go.
There you go. But it was between him and Beachhead, which kind of, you could see some things were kind of weird. And the whole Rom thing, I want to throw this out there too. Okay, Rom's a badass. in this first and second issue, especially when he's rumbling with Prime and he lays him out, which that to me feels like IDW is coming up and saying, okay, this is a legitimate threat, or at least you could take him seriously now. If he can put a Cybertronian on his ass. And the only thing I didn't like is what they should have done. There's a point where Rom is like, everybody's shooting at him because he just melted some Joe's face off. But Roadblock is like, well, why ain't he shooting at me? They should have never done that. They should have just kind of wiped that out and let Rom seem like a badass. Because I knew right then, I was like, oh, okay, all right. So he's coming. I knew exactly what he was doing. I knew who he was killing. I knew what they were. And that was before I even got to like issue 3 when we get the big reveal of what that is. So,
well, I mean, is anybody else familiar with the character Sleepwalker?
No.
Yeah.
Sleepwalker in the 90s was a character who he didn't really like kill anything or like fight a whole lot other than like in people's dreams or whatever, and his eye beams distorted reality, or I don't know, it interrupted.
Sure.
Yeah, whatever. I don't know what it did, but it wasn't anything cool. I mean, he was Sleepwalker, so he's kind of like the space version of Sleepwalker for me. So to see him actually break bad and melt a few people was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But then they just made him Sleepwalker again.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen that mystery at least be around for another couple issues.
Yeah.
So, all right, Mark, you're next, buddy. What you got?
Only this, and this really more goes to, I guess, the history of this, which I'm glad we have some of these guys on tonight that know of prior history to this story. It's sort of filling in the blanks for me. But, as you map out a story, as a writer or as an editor, and you decide you're going to use these characters and not those characters, and you're going to tell this kind of story. I get, obviously, Optimus Prime. You can't have a Transformers story without Optimus Prime. I get the use of Bumblebee. I get the use of, I even get the use of Soundwave. Like, if you're going to have a Decepticon be an ally to the Autobots, use him. He's pretty cool. I get the use of RC. She's the Smurfette of the Transformers.
Transformers compared to Smurfs. That's why I got Mark Radlich on this podcast.
Trying to get them girl readers. I get it. I'm with you. It's why I don't have any objections to Scarlet running G.I. Joe and not anyone else. Because again, you got to get those girl readers. I get it. Girls rule. Wonder Woman, yay. Fucking Cup. He wasn't even the best Transformer in the 1980s.
Hey.
Uh-oh.
You watch it on Cup.
What now?
Cup was awesome.
Yeah, okay.
Cup was the grizzled veteran of the Transformers.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can write any story you want. You are god of this universe. You could have Ultra Magnus. You could have Springer, who was pretty cool in the cartoon. You could have any number of Autobots. You go with the grizzled old man.
Yes, I mean,
No.
I would have gotten rid of. Okay, I would have gotten rid of a few others, and gone with Ultra Magnus, or I mean, at least they didn't. I don't know.
Okay,
I would,
how many fucking toys did Cup sell? None. That's how many. Okay.
he sold one to me.
No.
Dag on it.
You got a cup figure. All right.
All right.
To give you a little bit of backstory, Ultra Magnus is in another universe, and Springer is dead.
Awesome.
So
See, that's where you need Cup.
No one needs Cup. The only people who own the Cup toys are collectors, and they're all 50 right now.
I am not 50.
I appreciate.
I would have.
I appreciate the backstory, and at least that explains why he's in this comic. But why, as the author, you would make that decision? They're like, okay, we're going to kill these people and keep Cup. I don't understand.
I'll say I would have replaced the combiner that they have here with Superion.
Sure.
Yeah.
Aerial bots.
Why not? Why not keep an old favorite? Why not Grimlock?
Well, I'm just saying if they were going to have a combiner, though, be an Autobot, I would have picked him.
Now, remember, there's a good bit of continuity that is coming into this story. They didn't just start with the Transformers completely over, right?
No, there's. I mean,
Yeah.
they just had a couple of huge crossovers with the Transformers, and like I could go on for days about the Wither-2s and the Y-4s of why we have the characters we have on Earth.
Yeah.
But there is a solid reason for each behind them.
Okay, but you see what I'm saying? I get that there's a backstory, and well, hey, Radlich, they killed this guy and kept this guy. But I'm going beyond that and asking, why, as an author, would you keep certain characters and kill off others? Like, of all the people you're going to keep in your story, Cup? There's no rational explanation.
What is it with you and Cup?
Cup. All right. Well, we now understand. Go ahead, Ronnie.
You go to the. I'm sorry. You go
No,
to
you're right.
the Transformers movie. They killed off all the old favorites, all the Ironhide and everybody else, and then you get Hot Rod and Rodimus Prime.
Right, two
You
toys. 2 toys for the price of 1.
Oh Lord.
All right. Argument against Cup. Argument for Cup. I like it. That's good conversation right there. Anybody else have any burning desires for issues 1 or 2 before we move on to my synopsis for 3 and 4?
More Cup.
More
That's
Cup.
right.
All right, so just to be clear, I'm the only asshole who has an objection to using this old fuck character. Okay, good. Good podcast. Move on.
I had to say it, man. I had to say it.
But I legitimately, I don't know who the dude is. I know, the only thing I knew is what I read in the story. I've never heard of this Transformer before in my life. I could tell that he was, he had a good bit of history
watched the
behind him.
movie?
Stop the podcast. You've never seen Transformers the movie?
That is correct, sir. I've seen bits and pieces, but I've never watched the full thing.
Turn this fucking podcast off and go watch it right now.
Hey, listen, we're in the middle.
I know.
Who's with
I
me
know
on
Mark
this?
and
That Jesse
Yeah, I
mean-
Archer's youth is fucking is just a misspent youth.
Okay, all right. Now
I
hold
mean,
on.
all it is it's just Star Wars, but still, you got to see it.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and correct myself. It has been a very long time, as in like the release of the movie since I've seen it. I have gone to it. I remember coming out of the theater going, "Oh my gosh, I just watched somebody cuss in a cartoon." I can specifically remember that clear as day. However, Cup, I'm supposed to come out of there and go, "Oh, Cup." Oh,
Yes.
Cup. No,
Yes.
I do not. Dude, what has it been? 30 years? We're on 31 years since that got released.
Okay, have your kids seen it?
No.
You haven't shown it to your children.
I will watch it, motherfucker. I will watch it.
Who's with me on this?
I will watch it again.
Right now.
I will watch it. I will watch it.
I
lost
own a
all
copy.
control of your
Both
show.
my kids watch it.
Oh, wow.
You better post it too, Jess. You better
Yeah,
show that you watched it.
I'll
Yeah, we
I'll
demand
live
proof.
tweet it. I will live tweet it.
I
Make
want
sure,
a
make sure you
Death of
tag,
Optimus
make sure you tag Mark in it.
I want a kid's reaction to Death of Optimus Prime YouTube video stat.
All right. Okay. Watch the kids start crying, bawl. Okay. All right. Here we go. Moving on. I'm not even giving you turkeys another option to speak here. We're going to issues 3 and 4. Issues 3 and 4. Let me find my synopsis here. Actually, hold on. Give me just a second. Let me drag the podcast down by trying to find. Shut up, Ronnie. Shut up. Shut
You
up,
know who
Ronnie.
can find his notes? Cup.
You could have done this. I'm just saying you could have done this while we were debating the merits of Cup.
Yeah, whatever. Oh, yeah. I had no stake in that war at all, did I? No, none. All right, here we go. We got to do this. Here we go. All right.
Best show ever.
Shut up. Here we go.
Well, I'm being serious.
Okay, sure. Issues 3 and 4. Okay, issue 3 opens up in microspace aboard Heliopolis. That's how I'm going to pronounce it. Deal with it. Heliopolis, a starship helmed by, oh boy. We're just going to call them the Micronauts because I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce everybody's name. I would hate to. Justin, do you know the Micronauts name off the top of your head?
I will say the most awesome one out of that bunch is Acro-Year.
Acro-Year, who is a warrior of some sort, right?
Exactly.
Is he a human or not a human, but is he like humanoid or an alien or what is he?
He's pretty much humanoid.
Okay. All right. For some reason, I was thinking he was like a robot or something. But anyway, the Micronauts. They have survived a trip into the entropy cloud. See Micronauts Revolution #1, by the way. Did you like that, Mark Radulich? That showed up a lot in the books I was reading, where it kept telling us to refer to the other issues. I don't know if you saw that in yours, but it definitely showed up in mine.
No, it's there. It's just anything having to do with the Micronauts, I just glazed over.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say there's a lot of crossover stuff going on during this storyline too.
Yeah.
You couldn't just read just Revolution. It's like you had to read those other things that make sense of certain.
Well, between issues 3 and 4, I mean, there is a lot that must have happened, because G.I. Joe leaves and is coming back. That's kind of what you're seeing, is them coming back to this chaos that's occurred. But, all right, we'll get to that. So the Micronauts have survived a trip into the entropy cloud, and they're very surprised that they're actually alive. Now, what is the entropy cloud? It is a force that is destroying microspace. And the only thing that seems to have a reversing effect on it is, dun dun dun, or 13. Or as Justin called it, what was it?
Energon.
No, it was Energon.
A very specific kind of Energon.
It isn't the Energon. It is like a knockoff, or
it's an ore version of Energon. They have
unrefined.
they have regular Energon, or 13 is just like super Energon.
Oh, okay.
In this
It's
iteration of the
unleaded.
Transformers, can they still like take like unleaded fuel and put them into an invisible cube to make Energon?
I believe so. Yes.
That's awesome.
Moving on, the dire situation has caused them to team up with their worst enemy. Oh boy, interchange. Yeah, see what I did there? Their worst enemy, Baron Karza.
Baron von Ratsky.
Indeed.
Baron bad guy.
Pretty much. I mean, when you're all in black and you got a drill coming out of your stomach, that didn't actually happen in the comic books. But if you can find yourself a Baron Karza figure, apparently that's one of the things that you can the attachments or whatever. And he turns into a horse. Apparently, I read the stat sheet.
A centaur.
Thank you. But anyway, clues lead them to a dormant Cybertronian that they are currently orbiting in microspace. A transformer by the name of Micronus Prime, who's not awake, he's not active, but the Micronauts just happened. Apparently, this is in the entropy cloud, and they're hanging out in there along with this Autobot, or this transformer. Now, back at Autobot City in the morning, in Monument Valley, our Cybertronian embassy on Earth, Rom is there hanging out with the Autobots, and he explains his motivations to them. And he says, hey, look, I'm just a simple guy. I'm a knight who's tracking down the bad guys, the dire wraiths. There's shape changers that infest and destroy worlds. And there's a connection between the dire wraiths and the Ore 13 as well. So as they draw these conclusions, then you find out that Ore 13 is scattered about the world, and if it continues to become unstable, the world just might darn near blow up. Now, G.I. Joe learns at this time that the bodies of Joe Colton and others from the Autobot battle that were killed were not all human. Tying the pieces together here, they are now aware that there may be some shape changers that are in the midst of the military. So they put out a call to the one person that might be able to infiltrate the Cybertronian embassy and maybe get some answers. Now, we don't know who that is just yet. So we cut back to the Autobots, and Rom realizes that there's this space bridge. It's like a teleporter, or Stargate. How's that? That's in the Autobot embassy. And he realizes that this thing may be the key to helping him in his war against the dire wraiths. So as soon as Rom figures out that the dire wraiths are after Ore 13, he figures, well, why don't we do this? I'm just going to go ahead and eliminate all the Ore 13 on the Earth. Apparently his armor like either resonates or something along the with the ore, and he's able to control it and like also control the space bridge at the same time, and he sends all the ore in through the space bridge. Hey, you take care of that problem, you take care of the dire wraiths. That's there. However, there's a bit of an issue. The problem is that sending the ore directly into this Stargate space bridge, it is transported directly into microspace, and it just begins exploding randomly. I mean, it just boom, boom, boom. I don't know why. It's just there's problems, okay? You can't send it into this microverse or it's going to explode. And that causes issues with Baron Karza, who's over there. He's the one trying to bring this ore over in order to stabilize or beat back the entropy cloud. But as soon as it gets started sending over directly into the microspace, it starts exploding the universe. Bad things are going to happen. So now Baron Karza, the bad guy from, keep up with me here, the bad guy from Micronauts, he's been dealing with somebody over on Earth's side, helping him find this ore. Now that this has happened, he actually believes that his contact in our dimension is now sabotaging him by throwing the ore directly into his universe, trying to blow it up. Now, the crew aboard the warp ship, our Micronauts friends, man, I don't know what the hell's going on. A time traveler shows up.
Oh my God!
I'm so glad
you said it.
A time traveler shows up out of nowhere and says, "Hey, you guys got to go through the space bridge." So all of a sudden, Micronus Prime, who, by the way, is as big as a planet to the Micronauts, Micronus Prime's chest, this circular thing comes out of his chest, and hey, it's a space bridge, and it turns on, and the time traveler says, "Go through it." So, of course, the Micronauts are like, "All right, let's go ahead and do this," and boom, they go through the space bridge into our world, and there, over on our world, Rom and the Transformers are battling out. Prime is like, whoa, Rom, slow down, dude. You can't be sending this ore through there. As soon as he figures out that the ore is exploding in the other universe, he doesn't want that to be destroyed. So he's trying to talk Rom into making, hey, listen, man, talk some sense into Rom. Don't do this. Don't kill, just because you want to save our universe, don't kill another one. And so he finally talks Rom down. Rom's like, "Okay, I'm sorry. Puts his hands behind his back, and he's not going to, he's done. So he ceases and desists. Now, in the background of that, you see the Micronauts fly out into our universe, only to be faced with what they believe is a giant Karza robot, who is in fact Snake Eyes, the G.I. Joe, who's made his way into the embassy.
He's infiltrated.
Infiltrated, that's right. Now, issue 4, RC, our chick Autobot here, and Snake Eyes get into a little bit of a tussle.
We also have at the beginning, we have Jazz standing there unarmed with Victorian.
No, that's right. The Micronauts are found by the Autobots. So as they flew through, the Autobots found them and said, "Whoa, wait a second, what are you guys doing here?" In their tiny little ship. Now, Miles Mayhem and the rest of Mask, we find out that Miles Mayhem and the rest of Mask have left G.I. Joe headquarters. Okay? They've got up and done left. They've abandoned G.I. Joe headquarters, and G.I. Joe has no idea why. What's going on? Well, Mask has head over to Monument Valley to confront the Cybertronians.
This whole book was written like the ECW opening tag team medley.
Okay.
It's just every 5 minutes you hear theme music and out comes another team.
That's right.
And then what?
And I said, and then New Jack shows up.
Yeah, and just starts hitting people with stuff. I mean, that's the perfect analogy for this, because
if it only came with theme music.
Yeah, it was just a hot mess. It was just like, and then you get a superhero, and you get a superhero.
Another analogy. This is the Scarlet Pumpernickel that Daffy Duck tried to sell Agent Porky Pig, but he has no ending, and it's and then the dam broke.
Yes. It's the truth.
I keep laughing at this battle with Snake Eyes and the Micronauts. He's throwing spaceships at us.
Yeah. So as Miles Mayhem and Mask are heading over to Monument Valley to face off with the Transformers. He knows he can't do it alone, and he brings reinforcements. And his reinforcements are the Dire Wraiths. Yes, Miles Mayhem and Mask are teamed up with the Dire Wraiths. Now, reconciling their differences, Snake Eyes and the Autobots and the Micronauts join forces, along with Rom, to face Mask. Okay, and we get this huge 2-page splash, which I'll throw up here in a few minutes. It's like every fanboy's dream come true. See
or
all
every
these
5-year-old child's playtime.
Indeed, that's the truth. That's the truth. Now, in mid-fight, the dire wraiths turn on the mask operatives. When out of the space bridge, a new player arrives, and that's Baron Karza, who uses a power called Interchange to meld with the dire wraiths, and I mean he melds with all of them. He just says Interchange, and all of a sudden he starts like sucking in all the dire wraiths. Now, G.I. Joe at this time, at the end of issue 4, figures out where Miles Mayhem went, and they're like, "Hey, we've got to have a dog in the fight." G.I. Joe they're not in the fray yet. They're not in the fray. However, they decide, well, we're gonna make our presence known. Well, how are we gonna do that? And of course, the way that they do that is by unearthing some classic G.I. Joe vehicles, and with the intent of heading on over and sorting things out.
Which
and
you forgot. I was gonna say you forgot to mention why they had to use the older vehicles.
And that is because, help me out.
To sell more toys?
Soundwave. Soundwave could control the old tech or the.
Oh, that's right. He at the end of issue 1, I think it was, or he busts like an EMP and he destroys their technology or something. So this stuff right here is these old vehicles are like a secret weapon, so they can't be controlled.
Well, they're analog. They're not computer.
Not digital.
Assisted.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
All right. Very good. Very good. All right.
I like my explanation better.
Who sell toys? Mark Radulich. Money. Who did I give issue 3 to? I don't remember.
I got the book. I got the book with the 4 on it.
You got the book with the 4?
I'm pretty sure I had the 3 on mine.
You're all a bunch of jerks.
Which issue was number 2? The one with the 2 on it?
I gave you a reasonable explanation for why I said that. Shut up.
Stop it. It was really hard for me to pick out anything in this because I was not a Micronauts fan growing up. So I kind of glazed over this issue. And then you said, "Hey, Ronnie, you get issue 3." And I'm like, crap.
Yay.
Yay.
Hooray for random selection.
Yeah. So, I mean, the thing that I got out of it is like, what are the Micronauts even doing there? Other than because they're like, oh, hey, we were Hasbro, we were Hasbro too, so we deserve to be here. And so that's kind of like the only thing that I got out of the Micronauts showing up, because every other, the first 2 issues, you've got people showing up that, you've got the Joes, you've got Transformers, you've got, I guess the only other kind of, I don't want to say the only person that beats them in randomness, Action Man, because he didn't do a whole lot of anything in this, but I had to do a lot of Wikipedia and searching because I don't remember the Micronauts that well and why they existed.
They were pretty much pawns of Karza in this book.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Yeah.
Justin, I know you've mentioned the Micronauts quite a bit. What do you think here with them being? You felt that their part of it felt forced? Do you think, or do you think that it felt like a natural part of the story?
I mean, I can see Karza trying to figure out what to do with the microverse, basically, and they were just pawns. Is basically what happened. They were just there, and stuff was happening, and they end up popping up in our world in front of the giant Karza robot.
Yeah.
They just happen to appear, and they're like, "Oh crap,"
How about you, Cole? Micronauts, you got an opinion?
Man, coming into this, I didn't have a clue what a Micronaut was.
Really?
Yeah.
The only properties that I had any idea about when I was coming in were the Transformers and G.I. Joe. So my opinion is going to be biased, but issue 3 didn't do much for me.
Okay.
Because I was super pumped when Mask showed up. I was a big Mask fan when I was a kid. It was, the thought of these people that had cars that cars that turned into, battle vehicles was amazing, because you had the one sports car where the doors fly, they went up, and they had guns on them and everything else. So as a kid, I was like all into that. But then the Micronauts showed up, and I don't remember being into them as much. I remember them, but I don't remember being into them as much as I was at everything else. I probably could have had a toy or two. I think I remember having the bad guy toy, just because my grandfather would randomly buy me toys at K City, was the local kind of like Kmart or whatever in Logan. But I just don't remember them that much.
I got my Micronauts basically from like yard sales when I was a kid, and they did not do justice to the book at all. I mean, the book was a lot better than the toys ever were.
Oh, you're talking about what we see in this book versus what the toys look like?
Well, I'm talking about even back when they were
part of the Marvel universe.
A Marvel comic.
Marvel, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, for instance, even ROM was better than the toy. I mean, I wanted the toy back in the day, but I never got it. But ROM was way better than the toy.
According to what I saw when I posted on Facebook, I mean, the Micronauts have been around since the 70s.
Yeah.
That thing that I posted was I think Amigo, if I remember correctly, Amigo figure of Baron Karza, which was the oddest thing I'd ever seen. I mean, it was just straight up weird. So I don't know. Mark Radulich, you got an opinion on the Micronauts? Are you impressed with their debut?
I don't know what the fuck a Micronaut is.
Yeah. Of these toys, I mean, let's just get this out here, Mark. Which ones did you have?
Well, I was a huge Transformers fan.
All right.
I didn't have a lot of them because I had like the most random. Like I could have written this comic with my toys because I had the most random assortment of I was that kid who like He-Man interacted with G.I. Joe and Transformers because I didn't have too much of any one thing. Star Wars, that sort of thing. I had like little bits and pieces of all of them. So, Transformers, huge. I was a huge Transformers fan. Loved the cartoon. Had a couple of the toys. G.I. Joe, didn't like it as much as the Transformers, but watched the show. To this day, still love G.I. Joe the movie. Cobra.
You seen that one, Jesse?
Oh yeah, I've seen that one. I know quite a bit of that.
I think my favorite part of that whole movie was Sergeant Slaughter.
So
Sergeant Slaughter, when he looks at him, he goes, "I'll send you home in a ditty bag, an itty bitty ditty bag."
Big Lob makes his move. All right. So yeah. So I love G.I. Joe, not as much as Transformers, but I still like them. I was aware of Mask. I don't think I had any of the toys. I know some of my friends did. And I certainly watched the cartoon. I was aware of Rom the Space Knight. Did not have the toy. I wasn't even aware there was a toy.
Yeah.
All I was aware of was the Marvel comic, hence the earlier conversation. And and if you didn't hear me, I'll say it again. I don't know what the fuck a Micronaut is.
Yeah, ROM. Basically, the only way I knew about ROM's toy was because of numerous ads in comics.
Wow. Well,
numerous ads.
Justin, we're just going to go around the horn here then. Justin, which one of these, you've already told us about the Micronauts, which one of these other ones did you have, and which ones did you have the most of? Because I have a feeling you had every single one of these. Except for ROM.
Pretty much, I didn't have very much of the Mask. I always wanted the Boulder base. That was like one of my one of my holy grails. I never got it. But I didn't have a lot of the Mask. I only had like a few of those. Transformers and G.I. Joes was pretty much a toss-up. I mean, I had like a ton of both of those.
Yeah.
Did any of you guys have the aircraft carrier that was the size of your living room?
Oh, dude.
Oh, no.
Oh, man.
Mark, you missed. I don't think you were a part of it, but we did do an episode on toys, and we looked through a Sears Whoosh book from the '80s. It was probably one of the most beautiful things we had seen. We had Aaron Hickman on for that one. That was
that was on Scream Boy, wasn't it?
That was a Scream Boy, yeah.
Ah, okay, there we go. So
we're already getting them mixed up.
Damn it, Ronnie. But yeah, okay, Cole. How about you, man? Which one of these did you have? I know one for sure had to have been Transformers.
Well, yeah, I was pretty much the only one that I had growing up was Transformers because there was an issue in my household with toy guns, and so I could sneak past the Transformers because most of them had swords.
Nice.
But yeah, I didn't really have much in the way of G.I. Joes. I think I had the Medic, and that was it.
Come with a gun,
right?
So wait, now I have questions. I have follow-up questions from for this gentleman, sir.
Yes.
You're not allowed to have guns in your home. I can respect your parents' decision on that. Were you able to manage to sneak past them? Shockwave, Galvatron, or Megatron?
No.
That would have been the shit if you did.
I know, right? But Megatron, I had
just a robot, Mom. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
he had Cup, right?
I did not have Cup. I did not have Cup. I wanted Cup so badly.
See?
I did not have Megatron because Megatron was a shit transformer. But
Yeah.
I had Galvatron. Galvatron was awesome.
Shockwave, all the way.
Shockwave was also awesome. I had him too. And dude, I annoyed everybody in my family with Shockwave because I would run around the house and I would not. It was one of those like.
Do impressions of him?
It was one. It was one of those deals where like you never buy the child the toys that make the noise, and someone did that, and I would not stop shooting that gun around the house.
Nice, very nice. How about you, Ronnie?
I had a little of most of them. I didn't have ROM or I didn't have the Micronauts. I had a scale model, whatever, the bigger G.I. Joe too. So
the 12-inch.
Yeah, in essence, I had an Action Man.
The Barbie doll ones?
You stop that, sir.
The ones modeled after Action Man? Because
right.
I believe. Okay, all right.
So in essence, I had Action Man, but and I also had a 12-inch Indiana Jones. So, but anyway,
the Barbie doll ones.
Listen, my Alexa just spoke up a little bit. The only time that Barbie and G.I. Joe ever mingled was when G.I. Joe went on leave.
If you had a 12-inch doll, it was a Barbie doll. Okay, I'm just gonna let you know that.
Mark,
it said Indiana Jones.
Mark, you constantly just torture me.
Sadistic. Sadistic.
By the way,
anyway.
I didn't have any Action Man toys either. They were out around the mid to late '90s.
And you said what they based this off with the Action Man. As much as we got of him in here, somebody had said this is off the cartoon. That was you, Justin, right?
Yeah, this is basically the one that's based on the cartoon. I mean, just the way he looks and everything.
Action Man, if you go back in the history, and I think Cliff, who, if he does have the opportunity to get on here from the Kapow podcast, that'd be great. But he's the one that educated me that I think Action Man came first, and then
Yes.
G.I. Joe came afterwards.
Action Man was actually a British. Yeah, actually, Action Man was a British creation, and he was in the '60s, and he was a licensed copy of G.I. Joe.
Oh,
and in the '90s, they pretty much made him a James Bond kind of character.
Yeah.
So Action Man came after G.I. Joe, then.
Right.
Okay.
And then, but I had a lot of Transformers. I'm not, I can't say that I didn't. One of my favorite was I can't remember his name right now. I had Optimus Prime. I had
Cup, right?
Yeah.
I had Cup, daggone it. I had Ultra Magnus, and then I had Perceptor, the
microscope.
The microscope. Yes.
Oh yeah.
He was cool. And then I had a few others, but I had a lot of G.I. Joe.
Oh yeah, buddy.
Yeah, I had G.I. Joe. I had the G.I. Joe spare parts that came from the ones that broke. the rubber band. Or
dude, did you have your own fed, like your own wrestling federation with the GI Joes?
I didn't really do the wrestling
No!
with the GI Joes. I did a little bit, but I had wrestlers to be wrestlers. I was that kid.
Oh, okay.
Like,
well, I didn't have that.
If I was a kid, I didn't have a whole lot of them. My mom didn't like wrestling, but my grandpa liked wrestling, and I'd watch it with him. And because I still remember my favorite tag team being the Killer Bees as a kid.
Oh yeah.
And so that just because they dressed up like bees and jumped around a lot. But my grandfather's one that introduced me to Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, all that, all those guys. But anyway, but I had a lot of GI Joes, and then of course I had a ton of He-Man in Star Wars. But
the He-Man figures made the best wrestlers.
Yeah, I would have to say that, absolutely. Until you tried to do like a figure 4 or something like that, and then they were just useless.
You know what He-Man figures also do? They make great toys for children.
No, they don't, Mark Radlich. You don't understand.
No,
I think Triclops has no legs. Thank you.
I think Jesse has us beat on all the GI Joe accessories. I mean, honestly, who has a bag of crotches, right?
I do have a bag of GI Joe crotches.
As a kid, my kingdom for that bag of crotches, because they all broke. I mean, like they didn't like come apart, but the middle part that separated the legs, basically the penis of the GI Joe, snapped off.
What happened to this podcast? We went from talking about a comic book to GI Joe crotches.
Right, and the thumbs always broke off because you would try to get their thumbs just
put right to bend it.
Yeah. And to put that gun in there. So I had a lot of G.I. Joe, and G.I. Joe Transformers were definitely my favorite back then as well. I mean, like, I had a ton of He-Man. But those, I was
because
into
you
the
were
mainstream.
a child, right? You had a ton of He-Man because you were a child.
I still have them. They're still in my parents' attic.
I hear you, Mark
Snake
Radlich.
Mountain.
This is a terrible argument to have with Ronnie Adams. I keep forgetting.
Yeah, you are not winning over anybody. You've tried this before with Ronnie Adams.
Toys are for collecting when you get my age.
Toys are for children. Right. They've always have been.
You're for children. Wow, that sounded really bad.
How dare you, sir?
Man. Well, okay. Yeah, I'll give you my 2 cents here, and then we'll move on to this wonderful, easy to follow finish.
2 cents and a bag of crotches.
What's funny is he sits there and gives me a hard time. He's the guy I asked to help me sort them out. I said, dude, I got all these GI Joe crotches. I need to match them up with the guys. Help me out. So we just laid them out on a table, and he's like, oh, that goes to Chuckles, and that one right there goes to Bitchhead.
Justin, I need you to help me separate my crotches.
We were on the internet looking up crotches. I kid you not.
You two grown men actually matched up a bag of G.I. Joe crotches to their proper action figures. This really happened.
Hey, listen, I had a roommate one time. Now this, we were grown men at this point, past 20 years old, past 18, whatever, who looked at me and said, hey, the power might get cut off for a couple of days because I don't have any money to pay the power bill. But then, by God, a box of G.I. Joe showed up in the mail.
I am ashamed. I am ashamed for you.
He's an investor.
For me.
That's called an investment, Ronnie Adams. It's an investment.
That is called. This is why the economy keeps collapsing.
Right. It's all wrapped up in G.I. Joe crotches.
No, I agree with that. Well, not crotches, but I'll agree with that because I was like, our power.
Put our electric.
Seriously, if I had a roommate who said who couldn't pay the electric bill, but then toys showed up in the mail, I'd have lit his fucking toys on fire.
It was
We're
summer.
staying warm tonight.
That bad, but I couldn't create a strong breeze out of his G.I. Joes, so that was one of those things where I was kind of stuck. But it was just one of those, thank God the power didn't get turned off.
Man.
But it was just, I agree. Now, if you got the money and you like the stuff, I don't find anything wrong really with collecting. I collect the Funkos.
Yeah.
Yeah. So does my 6-year-old daughter.
No.
You know what, Mark?
Are they out of the box? If they're out of the box.
No, they're not out of the box.
All
Let
right.
people like things, Mark.
No. I stand here on my hill and judge.
Indeed.
Hey, Hey,
Mark's
Jess.
hammering in a little sign that says "No fun allowed."
That's okay. I'm gonna get up early
Jesse.
tomorrow and start yelling at clouds. You don't worry about it.
I'll say, Jesse,
Yeah.
you want to plug Aaron's website that you
Oh,
have?
yeah.
In case any guys want to check it out.
This is going to go on there. So if you're a big toy fan, if you go check out Dave's All-American Toys and Comics on Facebook, he's been generous enough to say, hey, go ahead and post any episodes that you feel belong there, or you just share with everybody. This will be going on there. And I'll tell you right now, that man, Aaron's a cool dude. That site's fun to look at, because if you enjoy toys, you will see stuff that pops up on there just from people sharing their collection where you're like, oh, wow. I even got a custom. If any of you guys had the opportunity to see my custom Punisher figure that I got from, I think it was for Christmas, wasn't it, Justin?
Yeah, custom street level starch.
That's right, the custom street level starch. Thanks to Aaron Hickman, who got in there and customized the Punisher figure. Looks just like me. That's right. And if it had a box mark, Radulich, it would not come out of it.
It's the
All
toy
right.
mark.
I'm just, I don't want Jesse to hate me, so I'm keeping my mouth shut at this point.
Oh, okay.
Too late,
All right.
Mark.
I think
Too
I
late.
made my opinion on the matter known.
Yes.
It used to be a John Cena figure with old 1980s Rambo weapons.
Oh, that's right. Yes. I'm going to repost that too. I'll post that here on the source material page, Facebook page. And I'll tag you guys all in it. It is a wonderful piece. It makes me smile every time I look at it. All right, let's get this train wreck. At least let's try and send everybody home with a smile on their face, because we got issue 5 to talk about. And how does one actually make notes for issue 5?
Yeah, thanks, by the way. Thanks for giving me issue 5. I really appreciate it. You're a great friend. Oh, here, I'll give you issue 5. You're the one who has no podcast experience.
Can I at least say that the splash page of mine?
Is that your which one?
The 2-page splash, number 4, man. It was right on the cover, man. Number
Oh,
4.
that's right. Yeah, we haven't even. Did we even talk about your favorite? We just skipped over you.
I'll just
The
say,
invisible one.
I'll just say it was the splash page was definitely it for that book mainly.
Okay.
And basically just seeing Optimus Prime stop Rhino dead in his tracks in the background there. Yeah.
I want to look.
Snake Eyes and Acra, you're just slicing Dire Race and Rom disintegrating as usual.
Melting people's faces off. Yeah. The invisible one gets skipped over again. Sorry, Justin Thomas. But no, I agree 100%. That splash page was awesome. Just like we said, that was every kid's idea when they had these figures. If we could get them all to match up and fight, it would just be awesome. And here we go. I mean, that is the whole purpose, I think, of this book. So in issue 5, I mean, everything's just hit the fan. Everybody's fighting. Everybody. We got Mask. Are they good guys? Are they bad guys? I don't know.
Yep.
It's dogs and cats living together.
Mass hysteria. The Dire Wraiths are teaming up. What the heck is going on?
We find out that
It's Dire Straits.
we find out that the Micronauts speak ancient Cybertronian.
That's right. There's a key there. Everything's kind of it's linked together in just this weird thread. But faced with the
And
what?
this all happens before the writers got called for lunch by their mom.
Snack time, graham crackers and Kool-Aid. Okay. Faced with the new threat of the Dire Wraiths, merged with Baron Karza, who is huge, by the way. Mask, the Autobots, Micronauts, and Rom now have to figure out a way to get past their problems in order to deal with him. And then, of course, G.I. Joe shows up. And finally, everyone agrees, look, the guy that needs to be taken care of is the interchanged Baron Karza. Now, there is some huge plan that takes place. I don't know what the hell happens. I couldn't even begin to explain to you what happens. Well, all that occurs is that everyone has to come together, and this plan, I believe, it involves a key member of each franchise. Rom's involved. I know Matt Spectrum. What's
Tracker.
Matt Tracker. I know Matt Tracker's involved. Everybody's got to use some kind of something or other from their franchise. Somebody's got a hand in it in order to defeat Karza. And at the end result, at the end of the issue, after the big battle, after Karza falls, literally, the end result, the Micronauts somewhat apparently sacrificed themselves while Baron Karza falls into a large bottomless pit, and it appears that Miles Mayhem has died in the fray. And at the end of this, the Autobots say, hey, look, guys, we did a good job. We put aside our differences. We beat the threat. We need to do this a little bit more often. He says, Optimus says, look, we need to put our differences aside. He's talking to Scarlet, I believe, of G.I. Joe. And he says, we need to put our differences aside and in order for us to face potential threats to the world that we both inhabit. And then everybody says, see you later. And everybody goes their separate ways. That's pretty much.
And they called it the Avengers Initiative.
How will we get them all back together? They'll come back together when we need them.
Wow. All right, Cole. I'm gonna bring up pictures of this cluster while you go ahead and please. What would you like to discuss about our 5th and final issue?
What is there to discuss? I mean, the only thing that I'd like to bring up is the fact that Optimus Prime puts everybody in timeout.
That was priceless.
But no, I mean, as giant entire issue spanning battles go, it was at least never boring.
I'll give it that.
I can't always tell exactly what's going on, but there were at least enough action points that I didn't feel like I was missing out. And even though I wasn't a huge fan of G.I. Joe, their, charge in near the end was pretty cool.
Did you understand what was going on in this battle, to be honest? I mean, did you know whose power was what and what we were doing? I know there was one point where I think Matt Tracker or Spectrum used some kind of weird thing through his visor. They had to resonate at a certain frequency. Did you follow it at all, Cole?
No.
Okay.
No, not even a little bit. The end of the battle was just everyone does something and the bad guy dies. Hooray.
Don't cross the streams. That's what I saw.
Mark, you want to chime in on this epic ending?
It gave me a fucking headache.
I mean, I'm looking for. I don't even know if I took shots of this final battle or not. But
all right, let me say this: it wasn't Wacky Raceland or Iron Fist. Okay, no one turned into a giant building.
It's true because we already had giant cars.
We
did have Transformers in this one, so you can't just be a Transformer to be a Transformer like Wacky Raceland.
I was able to follow the action a little bit better than Wacky Raceland, and at least the ending made more sense than Iron Fist, which were the two real low points this year of stuff that we've covered. So, as long as it's better than Wacky Raceland or Iron Fist, we're good to go. I mean, overall, I liked it.
I mean, that's not asking much.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a little hard to. I think the writers did the best job they could. I mean, when you're tasked with here's 5 or 6 different IPs, write a coherent story featuring all of them equally. And after the writer slits his wrists and has to be, given lithium or something to get back, to come back. I think they did the best job they could managing all the story elements.
Okay. And we have to remember, of course, I think, Justin, you said this is a huge event where there were issues upon issues happening outside of this. And they just kind of do their best to drop, okay, this is kind of what happened in the other one.
Well, there's one instance where Cup and Action Man come in for the big save.
And that...
No one's going to say anything.
Was this issue 5? I didn't think Cup or Action Man was a part of that. Was he just
he shows up for like 3 panels. He's like, "Hey guys, I'm here. I'm British." And he's got
and I'm saying on Cup, who also has like a bandolier going across his chest, and firing guns and blazing and
yeah.
Because he's awesome.
Ronnie,
Yeah.
did you follow the ending?
Well, okay. Yes, and like Cole said, it was like the action points and everything. It wasn't boring at all, but it reminded me too much of. It reminded me of the Fantastic Four, the newest reboot. Remember the ending? You know, we one of us, you know, we can't defeat him on our own, but together we can. You know, so they each do their own little special thing and take him down. And I was like, that's kind of lame. Because I don't know where these things, you know, their special gifts, powers, whatever, are coming from. So that was kind of out there. And like Mark said, they were just trying to get it done before they, you know, before the street lights came on. They had to go home. And Mom, you know, so it was, you know, it was fun to read, you know, to see all these properties coming together. And in the end, it just felt kind of cheap.
Have you ever seen a crossover of this magnitude with this many properties that have never been together before? We'll start with it. I mean, what do you think there, Ronnie?
No, I not that many properties, but I mean, you read stuff like Secret Wars and Infinity Gauntlet and all that, and you see heroes and villains and people coming together for, you know, big storylines, and that's kind of cool to see. So it was kind of like that, but then you also have the aspect that they were toys and they were in different, you know, they're supposed to be in completely different universes. G.I. Joe and Transformers didn't really exist together until they got together in comic books. So it makes it, you know, it's kind of like IDW's Secret Wars a little bit, or their Civil War or whatever. But it makes it different, has a different feel to it because they were toys. I mean, you had all these different properties, you know, as a kid, you know, you mixed and matched and you played with this and that. And you know, in your imagination, Transformers and G.I. Joe, you know, could exist in the same world.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to see that come to fruition on paper, you know, in a comic book. Because, you know, it would never really happen in the cartoons or anything like that. I think Cobra Commander might have shown up in the Transformers cartoon maybe once.
Yeah,
but it didn't really go anywhere though, did it?
No, he was there.
Yeah.
He was like, apparently Transformers is supposed to take place a long time after G.I. Joe, and he's an old man. Right.
Yeah, that's okay. I remember that. And it's just one of those things where, you know, that was cool. It was like almost like a little Easter egg in there, but it never happened when you were a kid. That these things never happened unless you were imagining it. Yeah. So it was cool to see that come together, you know, come to fruition.
I'm a huge fan of crossovers, or you know, bringing something that has had a long-standing time of being by itself, and now we're going to merge these two things together, and we're going to have. I mean, dude, Godzilla versus King Kong. Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest crossovers I could ever remember as a kid. Like, oh man, they're going to fight. All right, we're going to get this. It's going to be on. And then you had those things where you were just like, I want to see this and this together.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, because it worked out really, really well for Batman versus Superman.
Oh, jeez.
Now, I can't sit here and say that Batman versus Superman really surprised me when it comes to DC properties coming together. I figured that was probably going to be an inevitability. When you're looking at comics and you see these toys come together, it has this mystique. It's like, oh man, how are these guys going to interact? And it's going to be so neat to see them share the same universe. I wanted to go ahead and give props to our creators here, John Barber and Colin Bunn. I've heard of Colin Bunn. He's been penning a lot of stuff here recently. So I've heard that name been thrown around. So John Barber and Colin Bunn are writers, and I assume it's Fiso Ocio. That's who did the art. Which, Mark Radlich, what'd you think of the art here, man?
I like the art. It wasn't confused. It wasn't wacky Raceland. again, it wasn't.
we have what they call the low bar, which is pretty much Wacky Raceland.
Yep.
No, I actually really enjoyed the art of this. Everything was pretty clear, colorful. I could tell, unlike like a Michael Bay Transformers,
Yes.
I could actually tell the Transformers apart.
Beat me to it.
Yeah.
So it was good.
Okay, very good. All right, let's go ahead. We'll wrap up our final thoughts here. I want to make sure I don't have any other additional questions, which I don't think we do.
I was going to say, I got two kind of little trivia to throw in there.
Oh, please. Justin Thomas brings the trivia. Now, one of these I probably know the answer to because me and you were talking offline, so I assume you're going to ask one of them. But Justin Thomas, hit us with some trivia, man.
Okay, what property owned Mask as far as comic-wise?
Originally,
DC.
What was that, Ronnie?
DC?
Oh, he got it.
all right, nice.
I was going to
Nice.
say, because the other ones were owned by Marvel.
All right, and
And also, let's see if anybody else can get this. I know Ronnie will probably get this right off the bat. True or false? Matt Tracker had a G.I. Joe action figure.
Matt Tracker of Mask fame, Spectrum in this story. Anybody? Mark Radlich, give us an answer. True or false? Guess.
False.
Eh.
Yeah, it's definitely true.
No.
Totally
it's
wasn't
like-
even. I totally wasn't even listening to the question, so I.
Oh.
Not surprised.
Yeah, Matt Tracker from Mask did actually have a G.I. Joe figure.
Okay.
Interesting. Very interesting. All right.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Matt Tracker in the original series wasn't black, was he?
No.
Okay, he was in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
You're talking about in the original Mask?
yeah.
All right, true or false? The best GI Joe, the best GI Joe cartoon episode was the one where Shipwreck has like all kinds of delusions and hallucinations and shit. Remember that one?
I
do
remember
not.
that.
Incorrect.
I'm gonna-
That is absolutely false.
I'm going to put it right up there with the breakdancing Snake Eyes.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Now we're talking.
the Viper. The Viper is the
Yeah.
best one ever.
Yep.
Hands
I got
down.
the Viper.
I don't like. I watched a lot of GI Joe. Again, I watched GI Joe the movie. I don't remember. There's only two things I remember about GI Joe: the movie and the Shipwreck episode.
Do you remember the episode where, I mean, does anybody remember the episode when Snake Eyes and Shipwreck came riding into base on a cow?
Yeah.
Cool.
Nope.
Glad that wasn't in my imagination.
Pork chop sandwiches.
Pork chop sandwiches. Oh, there's
Stop all the downloads.
who wants a body massage?
But it was-
All right. I might just post a link for that because that is wonderful stuff right there. What are they? The Fencer film, or what are they called, Justin? Fencer film? Something. I can't remember. Anyway, the G.I. Joe PSAs that somebody decided to corrupt. That's pretty much what it is. All right. All right. So now around the board, yes or no, that's all we're doing. And then we'll get into our ratings and final thoughts here. Justin Thomas, would you recommend this book to someone?
It depends on how big a fan you are of the toys themselves, I would
So
say.
if you knew that they were fans of the toys, you would probably say, hey, check this out.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, just the idea of the whole crossover bit, but I would definitely warn them that,
There's
just
some
don't
history.
read too much. Just don't read too much into it.
Okay. All right.
I
How
was gonna
about you?
say, don't expect anything, like major, like Infinity Gauntlet.
Ah, okay.
I mean, don't expect anything on that, in that
Not that
area
epic.
at all.
Not that epic. All right. How about you, Mark Radlich? You gonna give this to your buddies that know Transformers, GI Joe crotches?
Yeah, why not? I mean, it was fun. This is almost fun here. I mean, like I
Okay.
said, the ending gets a little convoluted, but Jesus Christ, what comic book doesn't get convoluted these days?
No kidding.
Good point.
Ronnie Adams.
Oh, absolutely. Especially
right.
if it's like you guys that know the toys and know the pop culture of the whole thing. Absolutely, yeah. The casual comic book reader, probably not. I mean, I would tell them, hey, why not? But it wouldn't be first on the list. You know what I mean?
Now, Cole, I know you came into this knowing a good bit of the continuity with Transformers. And I think this wasn't something you just picked up and straight up read. You know, when I mentioned this to you, you were like, okay, well, I'll check it out. This wasn't anything you'd read before I mentioned it. So after you've read it, would this be something you would recommend to anybody?
That's a rough one. I'm not going to say that I would tell people to avoid it, but I don't know if I really consider it worth the time and effort if you're not already invested in like the ongoing Transformers or ongoing G.I. Joe, because there are some things in here that like big changes to the universe that affect those books. But just for like a casual fan, probably not.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, we'll just we'll leave it at that. I think we'll go ahead and get into plugs. I don't think there's much else.
I just want to throw in one thing real fast.
Go ahead, man.
I can tell Ronnie will already love Revolutionaries.
Really?
Yeah, because guess who's in Revolutionaries?
Was his name start with a K?
Possibly.
Good old Cup.
Yeah.
Oh, hashtag
Suck
buy
it.
Cup.
Suck it, Redledge.
They know where their gold's at. They said Cup is the guy from Revolution. We're just going to continue. Make some money.
Nobody said that. Not even the people who made the 1986 cartoon.
Oh, I might have to watch that sometime.
Yeah,
all
we'll
right.
read Revolutionaries, Mark.
Let's get into plugs here, ladies and gentlemen. First off, before we get into plugs, thank you guys for coming on here, sticking out with us, reading this story, number one, and then giving us your thoughts. I want to thank each and every one of you, Justin, Mark, Ronnie Adams. I remember your name, Cole Marentet.
Thanks.
You can't forget Ronnie Adams. He speaks to the trees. He's connected to the green.
He is indeed.
And I am a Cup fan.
Cup. What color's Cup?
Transformer.
Anyway? What color's Cup? Green?
Aquamarine.
All right.
That's right. He's a Marine. That's why he's
right.
He's a Cybertronian Marine.
Mark, before you fall asleep, why don't you start your plugs? You got the schedule in front of you, right?
Oh, thank God. All right. So Friday night, this past Friday night, if you're listening, well, okay. See, I always get confused because we are putting the show in the can to debut Monday on the Rattle Legend Broadcasting Network. But if you're on YouTube right now, you're listening to it live before its official debut, which screws up my plugs every single time we do this.
And I love listening to you struggle.
All right. So Friday, the 23rd of June, 2017, is the rebroadcast of the infamous Damn You Hollywood Age of Extinction review. This was the last Transformers movie that came out. Robert Winfrey and I got into a sissy screaming match over this movie. It was one for the ages. We've been talking about it all year. We keep referencing it. I mean, we got into a knockdown drag out about this movie. It is definitely worth listening to. What really made that one special was it was one of these nights where Blog Talk Radio was all fuck your couch. So we did it on YouTube instead. Well, now it's finally made its way home after being out in the wilderness of YouTube. It'll be right there on the Rattle Legend Broadcasting Network for you to listen to. Please give it a listen and have a good laugh. It was good-natured fun, but I think if Robert and I had been in the same room with each other, there would have been a strangling happening. This, of course, goes up Monday. Tuesday is the Damn You Hollywood review of the new Transformers movie, The Last Night. Rumor has it that if you like big dumb action, there's plenty to be had, but the plot makes no sense. And if you're not really a fan of plots, you'll love this movie.
So what you're saying is it's a Transformers movie.
Yeah. Let me go. If you don't know, let me go ahead and say I was a huge fan of Age of Extinction and defended that movie like it was Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Wow.
Fair enough.
Whoa.
I thought that movie was fucking quality. Let me tell you. So, well, God only knows what I'll think of The Last Night. I told Robert Winfrey if I hate The Last Night, I won't even do the show, and he said no matter what happens, I have to do it. So, moving on, and Jesse now has homework to do. Wednesday night on the Metal Hammer of Doom, we'll be reviewing the Transformers the movie soundtrack, featuring such great hits as Dare by Stan Bush and Instruments of Destruction by Spectre General. Jesse's got to go home, and when this podcast is over, Jesse's got to go rewatch the movie and get himself familiar with the soundtrack with his kids in the room.
You got the touch.
You got the power.
Goddamn right.
Can I say that I'm sorely disappointed you didn't mention Dare to Be Stupid?
That's right.
Yankovic, that's right.
That's right.
And then Ronnie Adams, who speaks for the trees and connects to the green, he will be on TV Party Tonight on Thursday to talk about Transformers Prime Season 1. And then, hey, are you doing a Transformers show on Friday?
I can.
You should.
I will.
Okay. So Ronnie Adams will bring you the Screaming Boy podcast live on the Rad Legend Broadcasting Network Friday night.
It's going to be dedicated to Cup.
It is.
It's going to be all Cup and all G.I. Joe crosses all the time.
You don't know what you brought on yourself there, graduates.
It's the Cup and Crotch episode that you've all been waiting for, everybody.
I think I'm just going for, well.
Cup does go with crotch.
Yeah, I was going to say that does go together really well.
It's really, it's match made in heaven. Match made in my pants.
Cup, crotches, and toys for boys. Here we go.
There's so many things wrong with you, Mark.
Speaking of things wrong with me, if you check out the archive, this past week we reviewed Cars 3 on Damn You Hollywood. Jesse and I talked about Poison Ivy, The Cycle of Life and Death, and our premiere show of the week, our star show. It's the one we've all been waiting for. It's the highlight of the summer, ladies and gentlemen. It's the main event. Ladies and gentlemen, the Metal Hammer of Doom reviewed Nickelback. I wouldn't even give you a penny back. Feed the Machine.
Oh, boy.
And
Look at this graph.
Fun was had by all.
One fish, blue fish, red fish, two fish.
Please don't make me relive it again. Our show wasn't even over, and I had already deleted the playlist off my Spotify account. If I could have burned it, I would have.
Oh, this song's on fire.
My computer was almost on fire.
Mark would get along with James Patrick real well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
If I could have purified my Spotify account with fire, I would have. The dumbest songs I've ever heard in my life. Anyway, yes, the main event of the summer, brought to you by the Boys of Summer on the Metal Hammer of Doom. Give it a listen and have a laugh.
Oh, goodness. All right, Ronnie Adams, what do you got here? Plug some stuff.
We're doing some live shows on the Radio Legend Broadcasting Network on the Screaming Boy podcast. I am Sans Computer, and no, Sans is not a person, Jason Teasley. Literally, I have to tell this story every time. Hey, guys, I'm Sans Computer, so I'm not going to be able to do shows for right now. And he literally typed back, who Sans?
Jason Teasley is special.
That's a guy from Undertale.
Love Teasley. But anyway, so we will be back in your ear on iTunes and all that soon. But as for right now, Mark is so graciously giving us Friday nights to do live shows for the Screaming Boy podcast, and we appreciate that so much. So we will be doing as was discussed here just a few moments ago, all cup and crotch episode of the Screaming Boy podcast coming up on a week from Friday. If you're listening to this live, but through Transformers Week, we have fun. Yeah, we had Kirk Greenfield call in, local celebrity in Ohio, talk about Pirate Week, and that
was good stuff.
It was good stuff, except for when we got into the pirate porn. That
was classic.
No, that scarred me for life.
Pat Mullen shows up on the podcast, and boy, did things get out of hand.
Things got out of hand. Not only that, but by God, my co-host, Adam Runyon, did not miss a beat. He was like, "Oh, pirate porn. Well, let me do something." guess if these characters came from pirate porn or pirate movie. I was like, who are you? I don't know who you are right now. So we had fun. Good shows. So we're continuing to do those. So check us out on Facebook. Pirate porn.
Change the email.
Check us out on Facebook under Scream Boy Podcast, Twitter Scream Boy PR, Instagram Scream Boy Podcast, and I think that's about it.
All right. Justin Thomas, the Invisible One. I'm not going to forget you now. I know you play some games. Tell us where we can find you.
Pretty much you can find me under Spectre 13 on Steam and the PlayStation Network. Also, you can find me under Arctic Lightning on Xbox Live. Long story about why that's not Spectre 13, but let's not go there anyway. So you can also find me under just my name, Justin Thomas, on Facebook. And let's just say I rage share every once in a while.
Oh, it's fun to watch.
So do be prepared for that. And other than that, you can pretty much find me under Spectre 13 under pretty much everywhere: Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, Tumblr, you name it. I'm infecting the whole internet.
He's in your interwebs.
I'm all over, man.
All right, then. Last person, Cole Marintet, sir. I know there's a few things we can find you on.
Yeah, every morning at 8 a.m., I do a live stream of the PC game Marvel Heroes over at twitch.tv/thefilmtwit. Recently, we've been doing a little segment on it called How Do I Shot Web, where I'm teaching new players how to play the game.
Good name.
That is a brilliant name. That is incredible.
And Jesse's going to have How Do I Match Crotches?
On Twitch.
I don't want to know that game.
I'm desperate to see him put up a YouTube video of him matching crotches.
You can find me on Twitter at @thefilmtwit, Facebook under my name, Cole Marintet. That's all I got.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, go give that Rattleitch Broadcasting Network Facebook page a like to stay up on top of all the great podcasts that we have to offer. There's a pin post there. This is the last plug I'm going to put out there. There's a pin post. It's for a snazzy shirt, which I believe it's still up there, right, Mark? As far as you know, that shirt's still available, right, my man?
Yep.
All right. It takes you to represent.com, fight Rattleitch fight. If you like that shirt, actually, screw that. If you feel like helping a man who's down on his luck, fight the big, bad C word. That's cancer, ladies and gentlemen. Consider buying yourself a snazzy shirt, and that automatically donates some money for Mark Rattleitch, our patriarch, to and his battle with cancer. So he's going.
Stop spending your money on toys if you're an adult. Buy a snazzy T-shirt.
You know what? Shirts.
I tried to do something nice. I tried to do something nice. No, ladies and gentlemen, seriously, give it some thought. Mark, chemo number 4 tomorrow.
This is actually a different. Yes, it's my 4th dose of chemo, but they changed my regimen of chemo to where instead of going once every 3 weeks for 6 treatments, I am now going to be spending tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday receiving 6 to 4 hours of chemo, and then I got to go back Monday to have some sort of pump disconnected from me.
Jeez.
So I will be spending the next 4 days at Moffitt Cancer Center.
You're going to be binge watching something. What are you going to be watching?
Oh yeah, tomorrow I'm going to be binge watching Glow, which debuts on Netflix.
Oh God.
And I will also be binge watching Transformers Prime Season 1 to prepare for this Thursday coming up.
All right.
That's on Netflix, right?
Last time I checked.
Good, because I didn't know where I was going to find that.
All right. Well, we wish you the best of luck, man. Kick cancer's ass. Hey, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank anybody who's listened to us live, which I believe we may have one viewer, or that might be me. Remy, I know out there, was checking in there with us, so we appreciate it, Remy, if you're still out there. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Source Materials coverage of IDW's 2016 Revolution. Have a good one.